What is going on, folks? Welcome back to my channel. If you are a new viewer, welcome. And if you're one of these old time folks, welcome. Today, I am going to talk about that little miniature white little demon behind me, the Xbox Series S, because as you may recall, I made a video on it 6 months ago when it had first released, and I managed to snatch one up. And the video was titled, "Is the Xbox Series S worth it?" So I am gonna make a follow-up video, like right now because you're watching it, explaining that 6 months later, if it is still worth it. And I will link the old video just so you can see my thoughts on it the first time, because I don't want to have to explain all of it again. I thought it was worth it if you were okay to like get rid of some aspects that the Xbox Series X was offering. So yes, we're gonna see if 6 months later if it has improved in any way, shape, or form, and if it's still worth getting for $200 less than the Series X. And I think they're both still kind of hard to get, but you know, let's talk about it anyway. The first thing I want to get into is kind of what I was talking about 6 months ago, is the size of this console. The size is the best thing that this console has to offer. It is one of the smallest consoles I've ever dealt with besides like the PS2 Slim or something. But wow, for modern times, for this thing to be so small and you're able to take it anywhere. Let's say you want to run some Warzone at your friend's house because you go over there to be social, but you don't socialize, you just play more games. I mean, that's pretty normal. You want to run some Warzone with them? Take your Series S over there, it'll fit right in your backpack. I'm just going to show you how small this console is. Okay, I want you guys to look at this thing. It is now unplugged in my hands. It is, God, it's really lightweight and very just tiny and very portable. I mean, look at this thing. This thing is so cute. I just want to kiss it. God, it's so freaking cute. I don't know. And it just looks so cute. It's got the little fan on the top, and just look at that. And it blends in anywhere. It is so small. Like I said, throw it at home in your backpack. This thing's like a little horror following you around everywhere. God, you gotta love it. Now, in terms as for the controller for this thing, it is just like the Series X controller. It's just got like, you know, on the back, I really don't even have to explain it. I mean, by now you guys know what the new Xbox controllers look like, so let's just toss that to the side. But now let's get into the actual console itself. Is playing the damn thing still worth it? I've shown footage in my previous video talking about the Series S and how it is claiming that it's running some games at 120 FPS, which it is, and a lot of games at 60 FPS, which obviously is great and fine and fantastic. What's happening is that the resolution is not able to reach 4K. It's usually 1080p or 1440p. But like I've said before, some people really don't care about this, and I'm one of these people that are kind of iffy on it depending on the game I'm playing. If it's something like, talk about Warzone again, I really don't care if Warzone is running in like 1080p and 120 frames, because I'm gonna want the frames over the resolution. But for some game that's like cinematic, so let's say you're playing Gears of War, which is a pretty cinematic game, and you want to see it in 4K 120 FPS or 4K 60 FPS, you're not going to be able to do that on the Series S. So you may ask me, why do I have the Series S hooked up to a 4K LG TV behind me? And that's because my PS5 is hooked up to this monitor right in front of me, and that's where I play most of my games on. So the Series S is kind of just gonna be on the TV. I mean, it doesn't really look that bad, but I will say that if you are gonna get a Series S, I would actually highly recommend it to be played on a 1440p or 1080 monitor. I just feel like that's really what they were going for and what it's meant for. But does it look bad on a 4K TV? Well, I mean, depending on the game you're playing, obviously. Now, some games were like, when I first got the console, it was still Xbox One X enhanced. So when I played it on a 4K TV, the game just looked like crud. It had nothing to do with the new versions of the Xbox. But now, since 6 months have passed, they have indeed fixed this. A lot of the games that are backwards compatible look pretty decent on the Series S, and they are running 60 frames per second, which is how I'm going to slide into the Game Pass aspect of this console. Now that they have so many backwards compatible games on there, and Microsoft has released like a bunch of 60 FPS, freaking patches for these old games. I think they're up to like 74, probably even more than that. Okay, let's just say more than 70 games are running at 60 frames now, and these are older games, and this is something that Sony is just not doing. It's a really big plus side. A small little console that you can take anywhere that is running games at 60 frames per second from the early 2000s or late 2000s, something like that. Let's just say older games, and some games at 120 frames per second. Keep in mind, you can fit this thing in your backpack and take it anywhere. What other console does that? A PC is not going to do that. A fat ass PS5 is not going to do that. I'm telling you, that's one of the best things about this console. But like I said, with that, you are sacrificing the power of the Series X for $200 less. So here's my thing on the Series S. Is it still worth it to 6 months later? For me, yes, it is, because for a secondary console, this thing is amazing to me. I don't know if I recommend it as your primary console unless you really just don't care about the resolution and having no space, because this thing comes with like 300 some gigs after it's all updated and stuff. It's really bad. It doesn't come with a lot of memory, so you're gonna have to spend extra money on getting this little thing some memory. So really, if you're looking to get this as a primary console, I just can't really recommend it all the way. I would say if you can get your hands on a Series X for just $200 extra, just go for it. But as a secondary console to like your PS5 or something, oh my God, this thing is great. You can take it anywhere. It's running games at 60 to 120 frames per second. The resolution is low, but who cares? You're taking this thing anywhere. Throw it anywhere in the house. It's quiet. It'll blend in. You never notice it. I mean, that's just a huge plus for me. I do need to mention that this thing is downloadable games only, and that's where the Game Pass really does come in handy, because Game Pass is pretty much all that I'm using for this thing. I mean, I've got, God, all the games that I got on it are from Game Pass, and I don't really see why you would have this thing if you don't have Game Pass with it, but that's just because I love Game Pass so much, so you can do what you want. So rounding this thing back up is the Xbox Series S. God, I don't know why that's such a handful to say to me even all this time later. Is it still worth it 6 months later? To me, yes, it is. But like I said, with all the downsides to it on some certain aspects, would it be worth it to you as like a primary console? That's up for you to decide, but for me, no, it's definitely not worth it for the primary. But like I said, that's up for you to decide. Thanks for tuning in to the video, guys. I love you all. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're not subscribed yet, or don't. I can't force you to do anything. I say that every time. But I will see you all in the next one. Until then, have a swell time. Peace out.